students in India, there's a lot expected from us. We're all expected to top the class, while at the same time balance a multitude of different extracurricular activities, whether it's a sport, dance, or public speaking and debates. So what I'm going to talk to you guys about is my journey navigating through a bunch of different extracurriculars and studies and what I've picked up from each of them. I'm going to talk to you guys about each lesson that I've picked up from the different things that I've been through. And why don't we call each of these lessons a small tool in a toolbox that I've created which helps me live a happier life today. So as a young child, I went through many sports before I finally found my passion. I started swimming at the tender age of 2 as a life-saving skill that my parents wanted me to learn. I then started doing gymnastics at the age of 3. And I loved the attention that it got me cartwheeling around the house and climbing up the walls when guests came at home. Soon I started going for daily practices and I genuinely got good at the balancing beam. During practices, I was pretty much flawless with my back walkovers and back flips on the beam. And according to my gymnastics teacher, I deserved a 10 on 10 in my sequences. But when I went to the competitions, I got really stressed out and scared. I would fall down even with the simplest of elements. I vividly remember it starting when I was 6 and I went for an inter-school competition. I didn't even land a cartwheel, which was one of the simplest elements for me. And this happened to me every time thereafter. And I just couldn't perform. So I learned many valuable lessons from gymnastics. When I would fall down from the beam doing the simplest of elements with my hands trembling, nervous, and worried about my score, I felt extremely helpless, and I couldn't control my nerves, and this affected my performance to a point where this is embarrassing, and I got a 0.01 score on my sequence. I learned several valuable life lessons. The tool that I picked up from gymnastics was that passion is extremely important in your mission for success. Another tool that I picked up was the importance of controlling your nerves and keeping calm whatever the situation may be. And the times when I failed and I got those horrible scores, it gave me a sense of strength and tenacity that helps me today. Then I started badminton. I think the real reason I even started badminton was because my elder sister played badminton, and obviously I wanted to be as much like her as possible. I recall going for an inter-school competition once again in this sport as well. I won the first match much to my surprise, since it had only been a few months since I started learning and I hardly knew the sport. I lost the second match because I think I was playing against the winner of the tournament. She was a young Saina Nehwal. As soon as I was out of sight of the competitors, I started crying. My father told me that I had been brave to compete even when I hardly knew the sport. But as a 5-year-old, you just want trophies and a medal. So I picked up several tools from this sport as well. I learned that you should only do something and only participate in something if you truly enjoy it. You should do things for the right reason, and if you truly have an affinity for it. For example, with me for badminton, I only did it because my elder sister was doing it, and I didn't really enjoy it much. So the tool here was the importance of fascination and an interest in what you do. My badminton dream ended just a few months later when I was told my arms were too stiff to play badminton. Then I moved on to squash. This was one of the few sports where I straight up failed. I was quite awful. The truth is, I didn't even try that hard in squash, but I still expected to win when I went for tournaments. Eventually, I stopped enjoying it, and not seeing much progress, I quit. But I also learned several valuable life lessons from squash. I learned that I can't expect every moment in life to be happy. Happiness doesn't mean that every moment in life is sheer positivity. And you can't expect excitement, and you can't seek excitement all the time. This helps me even today. I can't win every race that I take part in, and not every lesson of swimming can be a great workout. this nervousness that I experienced doing individual sports led me to try my hand at team sports. I played football for my school for a few years. Although I never completely gave myself to this sport, I was kind of scared of the ball, and football was never really my first preference. I always wanted to swim more. Eventually, I think my coaches noticed that, and I was not selected in the team after 2 years. Again, I picked up some tools from this sport. Firstly, I picked up the importance of teamwork. Even though swimming is not a team sport, I do have my own unconventional team which helps me swim every day. The driver who drops me all the way to Chembur, which is about 25 kilometers from where I live, and then to school, which is again another 25 kilometers in the opposite direction. The house cook who cooks breakfast for me at 5 in the morning, and who cooks breakfast and lunch for me at 5 in the morning for me to take to school. My parents and my sister who support me every day and encourage me to keep swimming. And of course, my coach who trains me. Without this team of mine, I wouldn't be able to swim at all. Another thing that I learned from football was facing my fears. I used to be really scared of the ball. When we used to play in school, I used to run behind the wall and stand there because I basically got hit every single practice. I'm not exaggerating. So this basically helped me face my fears, and I'm no longer scared of the ball. Moving on to swimming. The first time I saw a 50-meter pool, which is an Olympic-sized pool, I got extremely scared. I generally train at a 25-meter pool, which is half the size. I was only 9 or 10 years old, and the thought of swimming in a pool 40 times my size didn't sit well with me, and I absolutely refused to swim. Eventually, at the end of the day, I had to because my coach was glaring at me. Then I realized that I wanted to excel at this sport and I wanted to do better, so I started swimming more. I started going for morning sessions, which weren't as intense, but I improved, and I was at least no longer scared of the pool. I started coming in the top 6 to 10 positions, and that was when I realized that with my merry-go-round of sports that I had been doing, I was a bit late to the Indian swimming circuit. Most of the girls who swam had a big head start because they had been training extremely hard for many years before me. That was when I decided that I really wanted to do well, and I started training 5 times a week in a 50-meter pool. The same year, I won my first medal, and it was an amazing feeling. I started to see a lot of improvement in the way I was swimming. Moving on to this year, I swam much better. I won, I know this is a bit immodest, but I won a medal in every event that I took part in, which was a great improvement for me considering I hadn't really been swimming that hard for as long as a lot of the other girls. I even beat a few girls who I thought were way beyond my league. There were many factors which contributed to my doing well this time. The first was that I started training much harder, and the second was that my coach assessed my style of swimming, and he picked events which were better suited to my abilities. So now I swim long distance freestyle, and I enjoy myself more as well, and I also do well in the process. So all the while this little saga of sports has been going on, I had started doing ballet at the age of 5. It's, again, another younger sister thing, but this time I truly did enjoy it, and I absolutely love dancing. I consider ballet as a means to express myself without anyone judging me, and it's not a competition, unlike everything else that we have to do while growing up. Dance also taught me several things. It taught me the importance of dedication, discipline, and consistency. So with ballet, I've been doing grade exams with the Royal Academy of Dance, and every year we do a different grade or level. And we have to go for weekly practices, and every time I would miss a practice, I would struggle to catch up with the exercises. So this taught me that you can't just practice in one go and expect to be amazing. You have to be consistent with your practices. So you're probably wondering, she's just standing here and giving us a super long explanation about what she's done and all the different sports that she's done, and what do you think you learn? What are we learning from this? Well, I think I've picked up a special tool from each endeavor of mine. From gym, I picked up the importance of passion and hard work. Even though in gymnastics I did have passion and hard work, I didn't really excel, which also taught me the importance of controlling my nerves. With badminton, I understood that it's really important that you love what you're doing. If you don't enjoy it, you're not going to do well. And lastly, with squash and football, I learned that there are highs and lows in life, and you have to accept that. And with football, I learned the importance of teamwork. So this little toolbox of mine helps me in my pursuit of excellence and happiness. So I think that these were the few really important things I've picked up till now, and I'm still trying to apply in my daily life. Firstly, I think it's okay to just be okay at something on your journey to finding passion. You don't have to be amazing at every single thing you do. Sometimes you're not going to be great at something, and that's fine. You need to learn to accept that. Happiness does not necessarily mean winning. Happiness often just means you're on a path to some place, you're on a path to excellence, and you know that on this path you have a potential to improve and to get better. As I said, we learned that not everyone is amazing at everything, and it's okay if you're not great at everything you try. This took me a really long time to understand that, because this applies for studies as well. If you don't do well in one subject or in one test, it doesn't mean you're horrible at that, and it's okay to lose 1 or 2 marks sometimes. Your life is not going to change. So another lesson that you've learned is if you have the means to do such things, you should try as many things as you can before you finally find your passion. Don't just do one thing, find that you're not great at it, and think that I'm not good at anything and I'm horrible. It's important to try several different things. Secondly, don't enter something with just the thought of doing well. Don't enter with the intention to simply excel. Do something because you love it. Do something because you have a passion for it. And the results will reflect the same. If you do something that you love, if you do something which you're truly invested in, excellence will follow. Try as much as you can, and if you have the means to enjoy yourself, if you love something, even if you're not amazing at it. If I enjoy ballet, even if I'm not amazing at it, I should continue doing it because it brings me happiness. Lastly, don't expect to be great without the hard work that comes with it. You can't win without the grueling hours of practice that come with it. The same applies for academics. Don't expect to get a 10 on 10 on the test if you only read the chapter in the bus on the way to school. Lastly, remember that it's okay to be okay because that's what allows you to explore your potential. It's okay to be okay because that is how you will grow. It's okay to be okay because only then will you discover your true calling. It's okay to be okay to be okay. Thank you.